Hello everyone. It's great to meet you all. There are some questions that might sound redundant and silly. That is, what is time? Hey, who doesn't know what time is? Why not ask a more difficult question? Most people would think so, but seriously, what is time? If you're quick, you can find the answer in just 3 seconds by searching on Google. However, are you satisfied with that answer? I mean, do you really understand what time is after reading the results on Google? If that's enough for you, then perhaps you shouldn't waste another 10 minutes of your life on this video. But if you want to delve deeper, welcome to Real Fact. What is time? Humans don't know exactly what time is, but we perceive its flow through the progression of events and phenomena. By observing the recurring cyclical events of nature, such as the movements of the moon and sun and the cycles of the seasons, humans created the first calendars. To further progress, ancient people needed more accurate timekeeping devices. That's why sundials, water clocks, hourglasses, pendulum clocks, and mechanical clocks were invented. And while the accuracy of mechanical clocks satisfied humanity, electronic clocks wouldn't have appeared. Electronic clocks measure time from the vibrations of quartz crystals, offering accuracy dozens of times greater than spring and gear-driven mechanisms. Using a similar principle, atomic clocks count the oscillations of carbon-13 atoms and convert it into time at a rate of 1 second for every 9 to the power of 192, 631, 770 oscillations, resulting in an error of only 1 second every 30 million years. Interestingly, although we can measure time with incredible precision, we still don't know what time is. Time can be defined as a continuous sequence of existences and events occurring in a clear, irreversible order from past, present to future. According to this definition, time is like a flow, an arrow shot from the past, through the present to the future. Classical mechanics, founded by Sir Isaac Newton and earlier by Galilei, held that time was a completely measurable, one-dimensional quantity, without a stopping point, and its speed constant under all circumstances, separate from space. You couldn't touch time, but you knew it existed and you could measure its length. And time would continue to be understood so easily until Einstein invented the theory of relativity. He combined time with three-dimensional space, creating a four-dimensional entity called spacetime. And as if things weren't complicated enough, Einstein argued that time isn't necessarily the same everywhere. Time slows down as you approach the speed of light, and, theoretically, stops at the speed of light. In reality, light has no experience of time. You place a light bulb symmetrically positioned with the sun across the earth as the center. You flip the light switch while simultaneously pressing a stopwatch on your wrist. 8 minutes and 20 seconds later, you see the light come on. For you, 8 minutes and 20 seconds have passed, but for the light from the bulb, it's 0 seconds. Similarly, you could step into a spaceship launching into space at 99.99% the speed of light. At this speed, 1 year for you would be equivalent to 70.7 years on Earth. Furthermore, time slows down when you are near a massive celestial body like Earth, for example. The greater the mass of an object, the longer time slows down. If you were in a spaceship flying very close to a black hole with a mass 1,000 times that of the Sun, each passing day would be equivalent to 8 Earth days for you. For example, the Earth's core is closer to the center of mass, and therefore experiences slower time. As a result, it is about 2.5 years younger than the rocks on the planet's surface after 4.5 billion years of existence. Similarly, imagine you have 2 perfectly accurate clocks, one on your head and one on your feet. Near the end of your life, you check them, and the clock on your head will be running a few dozen nanoseconds faster. Einstein called this time dilation, and that's how you can travel through time to the future. Despite increasing complexity and difficulty in understanding, one characteristic of time remains unchanged: its one-dimensional nature. Whether it flows slowly or quickly, whether it expands or contracts, time only moves from the past, present to the future. It absolutely never reverses or moves in the opposite direction. This has prevented the possibility of time travel to the past, even in theory. And the theory that prevents time travel is certainly something many of you watching this video are yearning for. That is the second law of Japanese dynamics. If you're looking for something easy to understand, the second law of thermodynamics states that our universe is an isolated system, and in an isolated system, the level of chaos can only remain the same or increase. An ice cube placed on a table will melt into water, but a puddle of water on the table cannot freeze back into its original ice shape. A punctured tire will leak air and deflate. However, air cannot get back inside and inflate the tire again. A red-hot iron bar is dropped into some water. The water in the bucket heats up, and the iron bar cools down. Conversely, the hot water in the bucket may cool down, but the iron rod will not turn red-hot again. In the three examples above, the rock, the inflated tire, and the red-hot iron bar represent a low level of chaos. Simply put, the level of chaos is lower when the energy is more focused. In the three cases above, the energy is concentrated on three objects: the ice cube, the front of the tire, and the metal bar. Conversely, we say that the level of chaos is higher when energy is concentrated and dispersed. It's easy to see that the energy in the rock has been dispersed in the puddle of water, the energy in the tire has been dispersed in the air, and the heat of the iron bar has been dissipated in the puddle of water. On a larger scale, the death of a star and the resulting supernova explosion is also a prime example of the increase in the chaotic, musical, level, aka entropy, of the universe. The universe began from an infinitely small dot. This is the highest level of energy concentration and also the lowest state of chaos the universe has ever reached. Today, the universe is expanding at a rate comparable to the population growth rate. As the universe expands, the energy within it becomes increasingly widespread and dispersed. And as we analyzed above, this is equivalent to an increase in entropy on a cosmic scale. Entropy can only increase and cannot decrease, meaning that no process in nature can be reversed, which means it is impossible to travel back in time. Furthermore, traveling back in time can also create time paradoxes, the most famous of which is the grandfather paradox. Just imagine it. Or maybe not. Go. A is a disobedient, unfilial grandson, but he's a good student. He invented a time machine that could travel to the past. But instead of killing Hitler to stop World War II, buy a Vietnamese middle name and win the lottery to show filial piety to your parents. A decided to return and kill his grandfather before he could meet his grandmother to help her and his father. As a result, A prevented his own birth, prevented the invention of the time machine, and even prevented his grandfather from being born. If A had never been born, his grandfather wouldn't have been assassinated in the past. But if he hadn't been assassinated, he would have met her again and helped her give birth to Father A. And Father A, a kind man, would have continued to help Mother give birth, and A would have been able to go back to the past to say goodbye to his grandfather. This creates a contradiction, a paradox. One possible solution to the grandfather paradox is that when A travels back in time, he actually travels to a parallel universe and kills A's grandfather in that universe. Another theory suggests that as soon as he kills his grandfather, an entirely new universe without his grandfather will branch out and develop in a different direction, independent of the current universe. Both options sound great, but they lack scientific basis. Returning to the main point, time may not exist at all. Like color, it could simply be an illusion created by the human brain. The human brain is equipped with various tools for perceiving time, with each time range being processed in different areas. Time intervals under 1 second, or those measured in cloud units, are processed in the cerebellum. Time intervals from seconds to minutes are processed by the prefrontal cortex, motor cortex, parietal cortex, and prefrontal cortex. Finally, the 24-hour biological time frame, encompassing the sleep-wake cycle and the body's metabolic processes, is processed by a small structure located in the anterior part of the thalamus called the supracondylar nucleus. However, even the brain's time-sensing organs can be affected and become inaccurate. Many substances, both legal and illegal, widely used, such as coffee, alcohol, and marijuana, directly affect this complex process and produce significant changes in our perception of time. In general, substances stimulate neurons, causing them to become more active, accelerating the perception of time, making us feel that time is passing faster. Meanwhile, neurotransmitters slow down the perception of time, meaning they create the sensation that time is passing more slowly. Magic mushrooms contain tetracycline, which is metabolized after entering the body. Sickbin is a hallucinogen, which is why psilocybin mushrooms are called magic mushrooms. In addition to hallucinations, users of the mushrooms also experience a decline in the perception of time. By feeding magic mushrooms to a group of healthy students, researchers found that their perception of time remained accurate for short periods under 2 seconds. However, for longer periods, the subjects overestimated, resulting in a slower than expected experience of time. For mushroom users, the universe is now in transition mode. Furthermore, time seems to slow down in emergency or dangerous situations, such as before a traffic accident or when you fall. It sounds like the brain has sped up its processing speed to break free from the shackles of time. But that's not actually the case. Scientists believe the brain doesn't actually speed up. Only the amygdala becomes slightly more active. The amygdala is the brain region that creates memories associated with dangerous situations or extreme fear. The amygdala creates more memories, making your recollections of dangerous or frightening moments richer and more detailed. This creates the illusion that the event happened a long time ago, or that time seems to slow down. Psychologists believe that the human brain tends to form more memories of novel experiences than familiar ones. As children, every experience is new, so the brain creates many memories. As you grow older, you enter the whirlwind of family and work with repetitive tasks. With fewer new experiences and fewer people, the number of new memories created is also smaller. The inevitable consequence is that the events in your life become sparser and less diverse, creating the illusion that time seems to pass faster. That's also why adults often feel time passes faster than when they were younger. Going back in time, scientists are fairly certain that time had a beginning about 13.8 billion years ago. If time had no beginning, or if each period stretched infinitely into the past, we would certainly know it. The light from billions upon billions of stars in the universe has had enough time to reach Earth and illuminate our night sky. In other words, if time had an infinitely long past, Earth wouldn't have the night sky we know today. And if time had a beginning, would it have an end? We don't know. If the universe is eternal, time would stretch infinitely. If another Big Bang occurs, our timeline will end and a new timeline will begin. It seems only time itself can answer all the questions about time, if it truly exists.